All right, so let's write conclusions here for these next two. And let me give myself, no, I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. All right, let's look at these last two examples. And we're going to use this conclusion table up above. So our original claim is that the percentage of non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke is 41%. The decision is to fail to reject the null. State the final conclusion. Okay, so first of all, I think it's easy to point out here that we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis. So up here, we're going to be doing failing to reject. So our outcomes are going to be either one of these two. We just have to now figure out what the original claim was. Was it the null or the alternate? So the original claim is that the percentage of non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke is 41%. So the percentage or the proportion, the word is translates to equals, and then 41% is 0.41. So because this has equality, this is very clearly a null hypothesis. And that was our original claim. Okay, so the null hypothesis was our original claim. So let's come up here. The null hypothesis was our original claim. So we're going to come down. So how we're going to write this is going to be using this text at the intersection between the null being the original claim and failing to reject the null hypothesis. So let me get rid of these colors maybe so it's a little easier to read. Okay. So the first thing we write is the conclusion table outcome. So we'll write what's in purple here first, then the original claim, and then saying what the confidence level was. Okay. So I'm going to be, unfortunately, off page here. Let's see. No, I can keep that barely in. Okay. So our conclusion is going to start with there is not sufficient evidence to support rejection of the claim that, okay, now we go ahead and put in our claim. The claim was that the percentage of non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke is 41%. And then we include the confidence level. And it wasn't given to us, so we'll just assume it's 95%. So with a 95% confidence level. And that is our conclusion. All right, so let me go ahead and erase this, and let's look at our next one. The grade point average of Los Medanos college students. So original claim, the mean grade point average of LMC students is higher than 3.1. The decision is to fail to reject the null hypothesis, state the conclusion. Okay, so we have, let's see here, fail to reject the null. Okay, fail to reject the null. So now we have to figure out which was our original claim, the null or the alternate. So our original claim was that the mean grade point average is higher than, so that would be greater than 3.1. I should have given myself a little more room. So the mean grade point average is greater than 3.1. So this inequality clearly does not have an equals in it. So what this is this is an alternate hypothesis, and the alternate hypothesis was our original claim. So if we come back up here, the alternate hypothesis was our original claim, and where that column and the fail to reject row intersect is here at this outcome. Okay, there is not sufficient evidence to support the claim that. So I'm not going to be able to see that as I write down here. Okay, but you should have it on your page. So there is not sufficient evidence to support the claim that, okay, now we want to put our claim, the mean grade point average of LMC students is higher than 3.1. And now we put in our confidence level information. So we'll put with a 95% confidence level. And there is our conclusion. So, the reason why it's, I provide this conclusion table is over time, if this becomes your specialty, you'll kind of have this memorized. But it's like the differences are subtle but important, right? You'll notice that when you reject the null here, it always starts with there is sufficient evidence. There is sufficient evidence. But if you look at the fail to reject, it says there is not sufficient evidence. There is not sufficient evidence, right? So you can see in this row, it says there is sufficient evidence. But then when you go down the column, it adds the word rejection. Whereas in this column for the alternate being the original claim, that word rejection is missing. So here there is sufficient evidence to support rejection of the claim. And then here it says there is not sufficient evidence to support rejection of the claim. So to help you memorize it, you could remember, there is sufficient evidence is across the top. And then across down this left-hand side has the word rejection, about rejecting the claim. So that might be a way that you can memorize it in the future. But for now, this will pretty much always be provided for you so that you can write this conclusion yourself. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.